We finally got an in-depth dive of Splatoon 3's Side Order DLC, which is literally confirmed to be a roguelike level shooter where you're pretty much going through different segmented levels, completing challenges, and defeating waves of energy, very Salmon Run-like, but obviously with story elements integrated into this whole thing. So there's a lot to unpack here and a lot going on, and I want to kind of just go throughout this trailer and talk about everything that they've shown off and maybe some little secrets hidden in there as well, including some lore bits. But yeah, this is not going to be like a usual analysis. I'm not picking apart every little scene, but just talking about the important things that I think needs to be talked about. If you're excited for Side Order, let me know in the comments down below. A lot of you guys watching this video right now are not yet subscribed, so leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Splatoon. Let's dive into the new trailer to see what secrets we can uncover. First thing I want to talk about is Pearl actually projects a hologram of both Pearl and Marina, and it's based off of the artwork for Side Order's DLC of both of them in that brand new band, which is technically like a collaboration between Damn Sock and Off the Hook, and that was their new outfits within that. And for some reason, maybe they're showing what they looked like right before they were taken into this place, like they were performing at a gig and then they were warped into this digital world, and Pearl, as the Pearl bot that we're going to call it, was just kind of showing a reminiscing or maybe like story beats of what happened and how they got here. Now, some content creators were actually able to play a little bit of this game early, and they were saying that it is pretty much a rogue-like game where you're going floor by floor to get to the top. To reach the top, you have to go through various different floors completing challenges on the Spire of Order. Something else that I also actually heard from the earlier playthroughs is that there are going to be collectible keys that you can actually achieve in order to take to lockers on the outside of the tower, which actually gives you specific gear and equipment and perks to play this game with. And obviously on the right side of the screen, you can see those lockers. As we can see, there's going to be 8 different rows with 5 different columns, giving us a total of 50 lockers and a possible 50 unique rewards. So yes, not only are we getting some more collectibles, but lots of replayability it seems as well. Now we get to see some actual gameplay of inside the tower, and these new fish-like creatures are very strange. Like I mentioned before, it looks like they're made out of some type of Lego brick or some type of toy that actually breaks apart and the goo flies away from it when you defeat one. From this gameplay segment, you get to see the Ueye, and it shows you what your objectives are and just a lot of other things to talk about. So at the top, it looks like that's your objective. It shows you that you need to take out 2 of these ink orbs, and they seem to be the spawners of these fish creatures. Once you take out 2, you'll probably complete the objective. To the right, you have a wheel showing the sub that you're using and also your special icon, and below it seem to be 2 new icons. The one on the bottom seems to be the Pearl bot, and it seems to be loading up, I guess, until it has some type of super ability that it can use. And then you also have some type of color wheel with a rainbow piece added to it in one of the 3 sections. I'm not entirely sure what this is, and it might be related to your color chip, however. Outside of defeating the orb spawners, we also have one that looks like tower control, as you're moving this giant tower by spraying the bottom pedal in order to have it move along a path. And at the top, you can see, just like in the multiplayer mode, you have to get it to specific checkpoints where it'll probably stay, where you can regroup and get the tower to reach the very end of the stage. Of course, at the same time, you'll be fending off waves of enemies, not to mention some of them taking complete archetypes out of the main story's campaign. For instance, you have sniper ones that stand up on giant towers. Before I dive into some more objectives I want to show off, the whole purpose is getting to the top of the floors, and from what I've heard from the previews is lots of them got to floor 16, which is halfway through. This tells me there's going to be around 32 floors to complete, and I'm wondering if it's going to be a sort of Shadow the Hedgehog sort of thing. And by Shadow the Hedgehog, I mean alternate branching paths to reach different stories. Maybe if you do all the challenges on normal, you'll get a different ending compared to doing them all on easy or all on hard, so it's really hard to say right now, but that would make replaying this entire story mode really worthwhile to see the true ending and the different endings that could happen. Maybe there's some terrible ones or some better ones or the absolute true one that shows exactly what's supposed to happen if you do everything perfectly correct. Also know that if you die, that's it, which is kind of insane. There's really no lives until after you died multiple times. You can use your chips that turn into pearls in order to purchase more lives for your second go round. But yeah, if you die on any floor, no matter how high you are, you'll get sent all the way back to the bottom, which is kind of insane. We also now know that on the different levels that you get to choose from, they're actually showing the objectives with the little symbol at the left based on what that level is based around. For instance, it'll show if you have to take out orbs or just hordes of fish, or if you have to move the tower or not. We then see another new enemy archetype, which looks to be like some type of crab, as it's kind of unfolding and wobbling around with 2 eyes on the top. and it seems like once you break off its legs, you can actually shoot it at other enemies like a dreidel that'll spin and blow them up. We also get a look at a new special enemy, and this objective is to take down 3 of them, and they look a lot different than the other ones. They actually are made out of metal and some type of metal machinery. It looks like these guys will move faster and take a lot more shots in order to take down. There's also little capsules around the outsides of this entire area that are holding what seems to be mem cakes again from the Octo expansion or some type of other collectibles from the real world. Another objective we get to see is another form of the 8-ball making a return, where we had to roll this giant ball into a designated area. And it looks like for this specific challenge, there's 2 different balls that we have to find. Another objective we get to see is Splat Zones, where just like in the multiplayer, you have to cover an entire zone with your ink and get rid of the enemy ink. It also seems like some missions have multiple zones, which kind of makes this almost like a tower defense, very similar to Pikmin 4's brand new night mode they added. Also, we have tons of new enemies here as well, including some little bomb fish that have a fuse that seem like they explode on contact. You also have these fish that fly and attack from the air as they're like dangling from their fins. And you have these really weird creatures in the back. They're like these giant blobfish with these weird red orbs that extrude from the top like antennas. So it's really awesome to see a giant variety of enemies this time around, and that actually makes me excited to see what each one is going to be able to do. That's still not the last of them, because there's even more fish that we can see, with 2 giant ones coming towards the Octoling, and you can see that they both have some type of sprinkler on top of their head that's squirting ink out as they ride towards you. And yet again, another fish that looks like a tentacle that can hover around and bounce up and down like a pogo stick. We then get a boss battle that looks like it could be a form of the Octo World boss from Splatoon 1, where you have to spread enough ink in order to get it stuck in the ink when it rolls at you, and probably have to attack specific parts of its shell body that you have to penetrate through, like the face that you can clearly see on the front. So it looks like this is an indication that we will have original boss battles this time around and not reused ones like the Octo expansion did, which is definitely a great thing. And we even get the name of this thing being called the Ping Ping Marsual, which is very interesting. Not sure what that's supposed to reference. Moving on to the end of the trailer, we get some quick story beats like black ink busting out of one of the walls from the outside of the Spire of Order, probably a later in the game cutscene towards the end. We then see some type of red digital aura start to take over the entire tower, and we see Pearl react in a shocking way, which once again could be the end of the game. We are also told that there will sometimes be danger rooms, which will have some type of unique gimmick, like for instance all the lights being shut off. In the same way we had the black ink or smoke pouring out of the building, we can now see it kind of form together in order to form some type of red digital face, which might be the main antagonist of this story. But this also looks like it could just be the start of a boss battle, as this same face does appear on that first boss we seen earlier that looked like the Octo World, so all the bosses might just have this creepy face. Maybe the main antagonist pops up from time to time or before every boss in order to talk to your character and warn them before fighting the boss. We then see Agent 8 fighting that giant cyclone boss battle we saw in the first trailer. It seems to be covered in those red creepy faces, and it seems like that's the weak point, where we have to take out those faces in order to blow up each portion of the machine. There is a symbol of a toxic mist sub-weapon for some reason on one of the screens, and it might be flashing on multiple screens as it spins, maybe either utilizing that you have to use something along those lines or that it's about to use a toxic mist weapon against you. There's also some type of different face on the bottom part that actually shoots a goop ball at you that's going to drop a wave of ink if you don't get out of the surrounding area. The last enemy we have that's brand new is some type of white bone fish that sits still while it shoots up ink out of its blowhole and holds some type of red bomb looking rock. Or maybe if you defeat them, the bombs will then fall down and roll towards you, getting ready to detonate. But that was the brand new trailer for Splatoon 3's Side Order DLC, kind of dissected for you. Let me know if you caught anything that I may have missed, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe. It definitely helps a lot for videos like this, and if you want to stay up to date on all things Splatoon 3 when the DLC launches next week, make sure that you have post notifications turned on and that you got the right page here on Nintendo Land. But thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.